Welcome to the Joy Quota podcast. I'm Dylan Fole.
And I'm Gavin Malcolm. Today's guest, we have Greer Chaldekas, a really wonderful guy, awesome conversation. We think you guys are going to love his stories from Hawaii and goes real deep. And we get to talk about some really awesome subjects all the way to some pretty hilarious antics out on the main island. Enjoy.
Is it already are we on?
It's technically recording. We'll cut in whenever
Action?
it makes sense.
Can we say action? Have you guys seen that?
No.
That Zach Galifianakis live at the Purple Onion.
Oh, yeah, you showed me that.
He does his brother, Seth Galifianakis, and he's getting interviewed by this NPR guy. And he's like, are we on? Are we live?
Yeah.
Could you say action? He's like, well, action's normally reserved for major productions in film. We don't normally say that. He's like, well, it's just one word. If you could just say it.
It's pretty funny,
and
yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, my whole family was raised here. This is probably where it's all going to end for me.
Yeah, this is where it started. It's probably where it'll end for me. Just such a quirky guy, but
all right.
Cool.
Word. Well, Greer, thanks for joining us. Just so that people kind of know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So my parents, I guess, moved out here when I was a year old and grew up in Evergreen, Colorado, and pretty much lived most of my life there. Parents lived in the same house for 26 years and grew up in a small little affluent white community, if you will. There's the token guy in each class. And went to, Evergreen Middle School, went to Evergreen High School, and then stayed in state for college and, thought about going out of state for tennis. Played in high school and got, a couple different opportunities for scholarships and ended up staying in state and just cultivating mass from drinking Coors Light and drinking whey protein and not knowing how to work out. But yeah, like I said, just grew up at Evergreen and did most of the stuff that I feel like most people do, which is just kind of outdoorsy stuff. Snowboard, hiked, went on trips with my family to Estes Park and different things like that. And, really took a liking to sports, love the competitive nature of more or less individual sports. I played football in middle school, but really enjoyed golf and tennis and really took a liking to tennis.
Yeah, stuff where it was on you to make it happen.
Yeah, exactly. Where you can't really put the blame on somebody else, but essentially you're...
Yeah, if you do bad, it's on you, but also if you do great, it's just
you feel that much better.
Yeah.
So started playing tennis probably around 8th grade, and then played throughout high school, and pretty close family, really close to my brother still. Talk almost every day, so close family life, and yeah, that's pretty much, I guess, me in a nutshell. I could probably tell you an hour and a half long story, but you guys probably don't want to be.
No, dude. We'll just bring some pillows and stuff. And
yeah,
just do that.
Yeah. Should we pause?
Yeah.
And just let me go?
Well, heck yeah, that sounds like you had a pretty fun little childhood. It's awesome getting to grow up in Colorado. I think all three of us have, which is a pretty unique chance, right? You could be born anywhere, but instead you got born to your parents in a cool part of the world. What do you do now, for fun or for work or for anything like that?
Yeah, well, I guess back to your first point there. It is, you do start to, I guess, take that for what it's worth when, in the grand scheme of things, moving away to Hawaii last year just really put it into perspective for me, just as far as how fortunate we are to live in Colorado. It's a pretty awesome place. Are we allowed to just swear?
Yeah.
Okay. fucking is what I was going to say. Fucking awesome. But no, it's just like, it is like, you don't really realize what you have until you move away. And me moving to Hawaii last year, like, it did put it into perspective that, like, having this close-knit group of friends and, like, being in Colorado where there's so much to do and, like, endless things, it's awesome.
Wait,
It's
so there
like,
wasn't things to do in Hawaii?
Yeah,
I've never
like,
been, so I don't know.
of
I
all
mean,
of the
maybe-
places to be
maybe
like,
it's
yeah, I moved
big,
there and
yeah.
I just really missed home. Hawaii is like the last place.
yeah, there's a lot of meth to do out there. Occasionally, you know, I dabbled. No, not really. But no, I mean, there's a lot to do, but like, it's just a different pace of life over there. And it's one that, you know, takes some getting used to. And I think that for the right person, it's a great place. I mean, I have no complaints about my 7 months in Hawaii, and it's beautiful. They have 11 of the 13 climate zones, and there's snow and there's a desert on the other side, and I lived in like a rainforest, and there's constantly stuff to do. And I think it takes the right person to like explore those things and do those things.
Yeah.
I got wrapped up in a lot of booze, a lot of pineapple vodkas.
That'll do it.
That will do it. But no, I mean, like, I just like you said, I just think Colorado is just like a very unique place. Obviously, a lot of people have been migrating out here over the past few years, maybe for other reasons like your show. But I mean, like, for the most part, I think like people really embrace that culture of just like the outdoorsiness and just like being able to like explore and look at different, like, we have so much to offer as a state. So it is like, you take it for granted, but like as you get older, you're like, wow, this is like a pretty awesome place to be able to grow up and experience.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I feel super lucky to get
Yeah.
to like one day it's snowing, the next day it's nice enough to go do anything else because everything's already melted. Like,
Yeah.
pretty wonderful spot.
Did you appreciate it growing up? Because I know for me, I didn't, and then moved away and came back, and now I appreciate it way more.
No, exactly like you said. I mean, like, I think it took me moving that far away to like really appreciate like how cool Colorado is. I think I did appreciate it growing up. I think specifically like growing up in Evergreen, I didn't really appreciate it as much as I do now, just because it's just like Evergreen itself to me like holds a special place in my heart. It's just like to raise a family. I just think it's like a really cool town to raise a family, and like my dad having us, you know, taking us to go golf at like the country club up there, and like having all those things to do that I unfortunately like didn't necessarily take advantage of because I didn't know were that like unique. I think
Yeah.
like for me, like looking back, like hindsight's 2020, but like I don't think I appreciated living in like a small mountain community that's like separated from the rest of Colorado in the way that like I do now, where I look at it and it's just like, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's something so funny about like as a kid, everything is the best. So you don't really have context for
Yeah.
like this really is special because literally you walk outside and you're like, oh, that cloud's shaped like a rabbit. That's
Yeah.
the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
You can't literally, you don't have enough experience to like wrap your mind around how cool something really is, like living in Evergreen or something like that.
Yeah, like if I loved bubbles as much as kids do, like that would be a great day. But for me, I've got to take like 40 milligrams of Lexapro to get through the day, you know?
So tell us a little bit about your time in Hawaii. Like there has to be like some really fun moments from there. Like what were you doing out there? Why'd you go out there?
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite stories from while you were hanging out in Hawaii?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the main reason I went out there was like a lot of the things that I've said have kind of led up to that decision, which is, you know, I lived in Evergreen. I always had my family and friends close. I made a safe choice with, you know, going to CSU and not going out of state when I had some of those opportunities. And, you know, that's one of my regrets is not going out of state for that and like pursuing tennis. So for me, it was just like a series of a bunch of safe choices that like I'd never really pushed myself out of my comfort zone. And, you know, I had a sales job. So I got a business marketing degree and did, 3.5, 4 years of sales out of college and, managed a sales team and was making cold calls every day and was in an office. And it was just like wearing and tearing on me. And I was making decent money, but had bought a house, had a serious girlfriend, and just was like, what am I doing with my life? Is life like really all about like motoring through a job that you're not really happy at, getting the fucking white picket fence house and having the family and kids. And my girlfriend, Brittany, was just super supportive. And through, therapy and talking with her, it was just like, maybe life's not about that. Maybe life's, you got to figure it out for yourself, obviously, like everybody does. But it was the culmination of all that just like led me to be like, what do I need to do? And my buddy's uncle lives over in Hilo, and my buddy's dad is like a really good mentor to me, and always go to him with these tougher questions, like more about like purpose and like really like deeper thinking questions about like life.
Yeah, it's pretty important to have people like that in your life.
Absolutely. Especially
kind of bounce
like
those big ideas off of someone.
Yeah, and especially like in the sense that it's not someone that like has, I guess, an opinion, like not an opinion, but like
they're kind of removed from you in the
Like
situation.
your parents are gonna say one thing.
Yeah, exactly, because they're like, I don't want you to move 4,000 miles away and get hooked on meth. But, not that happened, but yeah, like in that sense, like it's nice to have like an opinion that is like not someone that's like has a vested interest in like your outcome or like their outcome selfishly.
Yeah, it's just going to be genuine.
Yeah.
Like what they really
Which
think
was
is best.
surprising, like I said, back to Brittany, that she had that, because most times in relationships you get someone that has maybe like a self-centered focus and is like, you're going to leave us, like you're going to do this. And like to have someone that was like, hey, go do this. Like you're not going to be the same. Like that's important to have people like that and like surround yourself with good people like that. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's so important, like you said, to like get outside your comfort zone and experience something that isn't the safe choice. I feel like our culture today kind of focuses on the safe choices. Like everyone should just, there shouldn't be any problems. Everything should be the safe choice. You got to like go be a pharmacist because they make good money. It doesn't matter if you're passionate about it. It doesn't matter if you care about it. Like
Exactly.
It's a safe bet. It's some school to get through for sure, but at the other end, like it's a pretty guaranteed job. It's going to be steady. You're probably going to benefit. Like you said, the white picket fence kind of idea sounds like that kind of lost its appeal. So what did you do once you got there?
I feel like, just real quick,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that maybe at some point, but when you're, 24-ish, like, do you need the white picket fence and the settled down nature, or...
No, agreed. Yeah. And I think like from a societal perspective, I think it's unfortunate that like, and I've talked to Gavin about this before, but like if I had it all to do over again, I probably wouldn't go to college. I probably would have ventured off and done that journey beforehand. I just think that it's just like so pushed upon now that like that is what you need to do. And especially in like a generation where social media and everything like influences and everyone's interconnected, I just feel like that gets pushed upon so much. And when you're fucking 18, like, do you really know what you want to do? Like, no way. Like,
It's crazy
I
that-
still don't know what I want to do. And I don't know if I ever will figure that out. Like, I don't think anyone does. And that's what life is. And like, who are you to say that like someone needs to go to college in order to like have a nice life. Like, no way. There's so many successful people that like have not gone to college and have figured it out. Like, you don't need education. Like, it's important, but like the things I've learned from college, like I haven't applied one thing, but since I've started working construction, like those applicable skills, like a trade, are so much more valuable than like business marketing and like knowing your fucking average buyer market, whatever it is. Like, I just feel like if you're an intuitive person, you can pick up on that. Like sales and all that stuff is like that's life in general is sales. Like, you always have to be able to pitch yourself. You always have to be able to like,
Yeah, that's what a date is, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're literally just a salesman
Selling-
for yourself.
yeah.
Like, hey, am I...
like
I mean, that is a valuable
got a
skill that you need.
10-inch
that-
penis, but not really. Whoa, cut that.
I feel like, I mean, that's such a weird thing that I think has only happened since social media came about, is the idea that you're supposed to have it all figured out by the time you're like 16, 17, 18. I don't think that expectation was there for like my dad, who's kind of older as far as like parents are concerned, but he got lucky because he just happened to know what he wanted to do since he was a little kid. But like, I don't think there was ever that expectation.
Because before social media, you didn't know that you could, like, for example, travel and post photos and make money doing that. Like, nobody knew that was a thing, and it wasn't really a thing. Where, like, now you see that and you're envious and you want to be that influencer or whatever that can travel and make money, or start a podcast and make money. Where back in the day, it was more like you could be like a farmer, an engineer, a doctor.
There's
like,
definitely a
there
lot more
was
choice
more limited
now.
options.
Yeah,
There's more choice now, but I feel like
that
doesn't
another
necessarily make it easier, right?
No,
like
that's
with
another
more
thing.
choices.
Yeah, no,
you
that
need
makes
more
it-
time to
definitely.
figure it out.
that makes it worse.
Yeah,
There's
a
too many
cereal aisle.
options, and just like paralysis by analysis, you just like overanalyze every single option that's out there, and there's so many options. And I think people get, excuse that burp. I think people just get caught up, like a lot of times, just with like narrowing things down and like the interconnectedness and like everybody like having access to everybody else's information. I just think that like that puts, like you said, Gavin, added pressure on like trying to have it figured out when no one really has it figured out, but they present this persona that like they do have it figured out, and no one does. No one ever does. And that's what life is about, like going through trial and error and like figuring stuff out, which...
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Tony Robbins says the quality of your life is determined by your ability to deal with uncertainty.
Yeah.
Versus everything is expected to be totally certain nowadays. Which, speaking of uncertainty, you picked up what sounded like a really comfortable life. You just kind of cut ties and moved to a place where it sounds like you only knew one person.
Yeah, and we went off on a little tangent there, but that was like a very uncertain choice, and I feel like people fear uncertainty, they fear change, and that's a lot of what I wanted to push myself to do out of that comfort zone. And so my buddy's dad was just like, my brother loves helping millennials and loves helping loves helping people, and that terminology gets thrown around pretty loosely nowadays in quotations. It's like, am I part of the millennial generation? It's like, it goes back to like 1950. I feel like the date always changes, like with millennials.
I think it cuts off at like 1996. It's like
No, I think it goes
that.
like 84.
Yeah, I just looked this up with my wife.
Let's
the
embrace
other
debate
day.
right now, boys.
Yeah.
Let's just have this be the rest of the podcast. Just let me research it.
Yeah.
I would vote myself out of millennial. I think
Oh,
it's
you're
the
absolutely a
dumb-
millennial.
I think it's the dumbest name you
Ah.
could ever give it.
It's better than Generation X,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, that's terrible.
Part of
The X.
it's part of the X-Men.
Yeah, like,
Professor
trying way
Xavier.
too hard.
Yeah,
But I do get that the name, like, millennial sounds like a vape pen. Like, it just sounds...
It does. It does. And I feel like as much as, like, I mean, it is weird, like, if you look at, like, generational things, like trends and things. Like I just said things like 6 times, 7.
Yes,
count
soy
it.
Greer.
Yes, soy Greer. But it is like from a trend perspective, like we were like the trophy generation. It is weird how that adds up, and that's because like the generation before them was the way that they were, and like it was not necessarily like the warmest relationship between, you know, kids and their parents, and like it is weird to look at that, and that could be a whole nother
Tangent if we chose.
tangent if we took it, but
Maybe we'll come back to
we're
it.
not gonna bite the bait. So anyway, so I moved to Hawaii through all that, and
What were you feeling like? Were you actually like physically scared?
I was, and my buddy's uncle was like, "You're a pussy," essentially.
Yes.
And I was like, "God damn it, I am."
I worked in a steel mill when I was 6, Greer. Get it together.
Essentially is what that conversation was. I was just like, I don't know, like I'm going through a lot. Like I don't know if I want to. And he was like, "Are you kidding me? Like just fucking do it. Like why are you even questioning this?" And they're like far opposite of my family. My family is very conservative in that sense. Like which is weird because it's like if you take a look back at it, like they actually weren't. Like my dad moved around, not my mom, but my dad like made choices similar to myself where like I feel like I'm very similar to my dad, like just questioning like what I need to do with my life and what's my purpose. And like he moved around a few different times and definitely wanted to get out of Cincinnati, Ohio, where he's from. But like for me, I just went through a lot of what he went through and then like ended up going out to, I lost my train of thought.
You were going out to Hawaii.
Yeah, there it is. That's a tough word for me. Hawaii.
Too many eyes.
Yeah, could you guys use it in a sentence, please?
Greer moved to Hawaii and forgot to tell us the story.
Vamos.
Yes,
Hawaii.
yeah, there it is. There it is. Vamos, aloha. That's a little Spanish and Hawaiian for you right there. But yeah, I just, it was the culmination of all those things and like going through just like a life struggle. And I was scared. Didn't know what to expect and like definitely had a lot of emotions because I was still with Brittany at that time. And so the whole thing came about where I talked to my buddy's uncle and he was like, "Yes, I'll help you out. Do it, do it, do it." And I planned it all out around a family like trip to Hawaii that we had in January of last year. And essentially the plan was we went to Oahu. We had a 2-week vacation. Brittany came with us. And at the end of the 2 weeks, she went back, which was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. We were awesome. We loved each other, and she like to have like someone that like supports you in a decision like that. Like it's really hard to leave. And we had like I just remember like we had the last day like my parents were gone, had already flown back, and so did my brother and sister-in-law, and it was just us, and it was just like the weirdest, hardest thing because like the whole time we were trying to like prolong the inevitable.
Yeah.
Of like us parting ways, and then like the gravity of the situation, everything just came and it was like, fuck. And so I remember we stayed in this little shitty fucking motel the last night. Actually, I did because she flew out. And like the gravity of the situation came in and definitely had a lot of anxiety and was just like, what am I doing with my life? And that question like never really went away, and I always still have that question, but like it was more pronounced then. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah, that's a pretty crazy moment, right? Like, I can't imagine just like, it's never fun to break up anyways, but to like separate saying like, everything's going great.
Yeah.
I just need to do this for myself is like, that says a lot about her character, and it also says a lot about yours that like, you both kind of stuck to your guns on that, and like, I think a lot of people would have caved in that moment. I think a lot of people would have been like, "Oh, this is actually crazy. What am I
Yeah.
doing?" And they would have gone back to that safe choice. They would have gone
I
back to what they
appreciate
knew.
that. Thank you.
Um, and I feel like because you managed to stick out that journey through Hawaii, there had to have been something where kind of on the back end, looking back, you're like, wow, I can't believe I like learned this, or I can see how I grew in these ways, or
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so I guess to dovetail into, I guess my favorite experiences or what I enjoyed the most out there. I think for me it was a buddy that I met. Um, so I stayed with my buddy's uncle for 2 weeks, and then he put me in touch with his general contractor that built their house, and I started working with him, and knew nothing about construction. Um, and just started bare bones, just trying to figure out what a skill saw was and this and that, and like had no idea. And then my buddy's uncle put me in touch with their friends, and I ended up renting their like studio apartment that they fixed up out from them. And really from there, that's kind of like, I guess my experience in Hawaii was, living there, working construction. But like, I met this kid out there. His name's Sean Pula, and he's essentially like a locations manager for commercials and stuff like that. He's in
oh,
production.
sick.
And so over the course of, I guess, 7 months, I did 2 commercials for 2 different cars. Like BMW was one, and I think Kia was the other one.
Basically the same car, if we're being
They're
honest.
Wait,
pretty-
so you did like, what do you mean by
I have
did?
a hybrid BMW.
Like you were driving the car?
No. So like I met him, and he was like, if you need, side work, which again, like back to the whole, like it takes a certain person to like get used to island life. Like it's very slow. Like the most I worked in a week was 30 hours doing construction,
Yeah.
making $15 an hour.
It's
so
a real slow pace of
I
life.
had enough for a good amount of meth. But it's just very slow. And so like I was dipping into savings, and I was like, yeah, I would love to, have the opportunity to do some work. And, he plugged me in as a production assistant or production whatever, on a couple different commercials as an opportunity to make, some extra cash on the side. But like why that was the coolest experience is because I got to see a lot of the island that like not a lot of other people get to see
Yeah.
when they just go visit, because they don't know about. And this guy was a locations manager, so he like was able to like show me some pretty awesome locations that I ended up going back to outside of work just because they were so awesome.
Yeah.
So I'd say like my favorite experiences were probably just how diverse the environment is over there. Like one side of the island, you're in a rainforest and it's pouring rain, and then you drive an hour and you're in a desert, and you go through 2 active volcanoes, and there's snow on the top of those volcanoes, and you can see all sorts of waterfalls, and it's just it's a crazy environment.
Because you're on the main island, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was on the Big Island. And I guess on top of like those, I guess, environment, like being able to explore and do all that, I mean, like it took a minute, but like the people that I met were incredibly gracious, and like they typically are.
Yeah.
That sounds racist, but like most, like the very like nice culture, but it does take a minute to like warm up, and like they're not terribly like welcoming to outsiders.
Yeah.
The terminology is haole.
Yeah.
Is like the white version, like bad white boy.
Yeah, I spent like 3 weeks on Maui, which totally different experience. I just wanted to go have fun.
No, yeah, you're fine. No, just stop
but
right
like
there.
I definitely experienced the same thing where, like, because I was there just long enough,
Yeah.
people would, like, see me at the same beach and be like, oh, this guy's not just, like, some tourist in, like, a Ford Mustang convertible that's going to, like, every single spot. Like, and yeah, they were super, super kind. Like, they were just like, do your own thing. And then once I kept kind of being around a while,
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, why don't you come join us? And, like, we're, like, fishing off the beach and, like, hanging out, doing a bunch of really cool stuff.
Yeah, and they're definitely, like, they're great. Like, I love them, and I could get where there's, like,
Yeah,
a
dude,
little
the
bit
cherry.
of animosity. Yeah, real cherry.
Well,
I could
yeah,
speak
I
some
mean-
pigeon for you.
Yeah.
Because, Americans come over and, like, act like they own the place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, historically, we've done nothing. but
And, like,
terrible
we
things.
took the land from Queen Kamehameha or whatever,
Yeah.
and whatever year that was. But, like, historically speaking, like, you get why there's that animosity there. But, like, and I experienced it. Like, when I get turned a little bit, like, I've been known to be a little bit sarcastic.
I can't picture it.
No one could picture it. But, like, I got a little bit of animosity, and rightfully so. I was not in the right by any means, but, like, outside of that, like, there is, like, a little bit of a stigma there, like, a little bit of a, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
And I definitely know that they're not a big fan of what I did, which is, like, a staycation, where, like,
Yeah.
you're there for a little bit, which
Well,
I'm
did you
not-
go planning on staying for like a couple months? Did
Good
you have
question.
like a goal on how long
Yeah,
you
good
wanted
question.
to stay?
Originally it was to go for, like, as long as I could, or maybe stay indefinitely. And about a month and a half in, it was a realization that, like, it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And it was essentially just, like, stick it out for as long as I could. And I mean, towards the end, it was just like everything pointed towards coming back to Colorado.
What a crazy thought, though, that you have to, like, stick it out in Hawaii. Because
It-
for me that has never been there, it seems like a paradise, and, like, you just
It is-
go and chill and all this. But
No. That's, I mean, it is a weird, like, paradox to have that thought or paradigm, like, stick it out in Hawaii. Like, has anyone ever said that but me on this podcast? Like, it
Well,
is.
I feel like that kind of goes to like, you can't really assume anything, right? Like, there are some people where like their favorite place to be would be in Minnesota or like in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, where it's, in my opinion, not a paradise, but to them they're like, yeah, dude, I'm out in the forest. It snows for like 8 months a year. I can get out the sleds and go snowmobiling, and like, that's the dream, man. We're just out in the woods, like log
Yeah.
cabining it up, and like, I feel like that's what makes getting to know people so interesting, is like everyone really has that different perspective of paradise is really wherever you're supposed to be. Like, I don't think it has anything to do with your external, or I guess it does, but like, it's more, paradise is more an external environment matching with your internal environment than it is like a specific setting.
Oh, I completely agree. Yeah. I mean, like, external factors are important, but I don't disagree with you by any means. Like, paradise to one person might not be paradise to another one, but it is an interesting, like, statement. Like, and I will say,
Guys, it's terrible. It's
stick it
sunny
out in
beautiful,
Hawaii.
like-
I'm gonna start saying that all the time. Like, stick it out in Hawaii, bro.
Yeah.
Just like, what'd you just say? You heard me.
You heard me.
But no, like, it is. And, like, for me, like, when I first came back, I was super depressed and I was in a bad place and got in a bad place. And I just remember, like, being around all my dad's friends and, like, my friends and not really wanting to be, like, anywhere around any of them. And they would all ask me, like, because naturally so, like, you've been gone for 7 months. Like, how was your trip in Hawaii? Like, how was that? Like, was that awesome? And it took me a while to come around to, like, the notion of being, like, and just being honest and just being like, it wasn't for me. Like, it wasn't. Like, I learned a lot, but for me, it wasn't that great. Like, looking back. And I love Hawaii. Like, I love vacationing there, and I think it is different when you of course, I called it a staycation, but like I think it's different when you are there for 2 weeks as opposed to being there for 7 months. You start to see a little bit of the culture and things that like you don't ordinarily see. And for me, like Hilo's different than most of the other spots on the island in the sense that like there's not a whole lot of tourism, despite the fact that like Volcano National Park is like one of their main economic drivers, which is
Yeah.
on the Big Island. Like Kona's more the tourist side. Hilo's not. You got a big meth problem. You got a huge homeless population. You got a lot of people that are living off, Medicaid, food stamps, and milking the government. And work is very slow. You don't have a lot of work. And you also have the tourism, which is a big economic driver over there, wrapped into that. And a lot of people coming over to drink. And like I got wrapped up in the wrong things. And you can get wrapped up in the right things. It's just for me, I got wrapped up in the wrong things. And it rained. The first 5 months I was there, it rained 20 plus inches every
Yeah.
month I was there, which for me, I'm used to 300 days of sunshine in Colorado. So it's like that waned on my fucking, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm
that
trying to
seasonal
say.
disaffective
Just
disorder,
punch the
whatever it's
mic.
called.
Yeah. That had an effect on it. And then, I definitely experienced from like, like the island going off, like I experienced everything the island had to offer. I
Yeah.
experienced the 7.0 magnitude
What?
earthquake. I experienced the first volcano in 50 years. Like it
That's
was
crazy.
Yeah, it was wild over there. But all those
On my bucket list is to go see actual molten lava, like up close, like as close as I can possibly get to
I could,
lava.
I could see you being one of the guys that were just like getting kicked out of neighborhoods for just like going in and filming shit.
Well, yeah,
Like,
my
they would-
buddy was over in Hawaii for like a weird like music retreat when that all went down, and they had to evacuate their original location to go to a different one, and supposedly there's a really like super deadly gas that it all gives off
Yeah,
that's completely invisible. So like all these idiots, like I definitely would have been, were running up and like checking out the lava, but it's pouring out like genuinely poisonous fumes.
yeah.
And
I'm not a big gas guy.
yeah.
I think it's sulfur.
yeah, I don't know
sulfur
what the
dioxide.
term is, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll go. Next podcast.
Surprisingly,
Dylan will
So-
edit in the actual
Yeah.
like molecules chain.
Sulfur dioxide.
Yeah.
we're doing that. I'll tell you, on my bucket list is not going anywhere near a volcano for
Oh,
whatever reason.
It is pretty wild. I mean, like it
An
is.
active one at least.
It was pretty wild. It just like I never got like super close. That guy that I was saying that was the locations manager.
yeah.
Him and his friends got like extremely close. And there's a few people that like passed away from
Yeah.
trying to film some of that footage. And like you said, just like the gas is just big gas
Yeah.
guy. The gas is like killed him. But yeah, that's like we experienced acid rain a lot.
I did hear about that as well. Yeah,
because
like
the
real
fumes
serious.
from whatever, and it rained all the time, would go up, and natural something.
Yeah, it's
they would
super acidic rain, and it
Yeah.
really messes stuff
Oh,
up.
it's
Wait, so
like
does it like hurt when it hits you? Or?
so it doesn't hurt when it hits you, but like it fucks your sinuses up, like
Yeah.
to the next couple weeks. It's just like for me, it was like hard to breathe, and it was like you could feel the burn, and it was like you had constant heartburn, and just made me super foggy.
Wow.
So it was like it did have that effect, but like it wasn't like
I'm melting.
yeah,
now.
like I'm melting alive. Yeah, so it wasn't like that, but
I mean, it's a pretty aggressive name.
But
That's
like
what you
acid,
picture.
yeah, I mean like acid rain, you do picture like someone just like melting alive.
Yeah, it comes out of a dragon's mouth
Yeah,
or
just
something.
that's good sound effects right there. But I just like it was like something I had never experienced. A lot of those things, but like back to a different way of life. Like all those things I mentioned before were just like culturally and like physically just like going through like dealing with all the rain and like a new environment and a different culture. It was a lot. And for me, like I said, it took a while to tell people how I actually felt and come around to the fact that I didn't have a good time, mainly for the fact that, like, when you said that, Dylan, like, stick it out in Hawaii, like, you don't hear, like, people don't fucking say that. Like, it is like a paradise, but it's weird when you live there.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of money to be made, but there's tons of money to be spent, which is like a weird paradox. There's like
it is, yeah,
a very select group of, because even when I was there spending money,
yeah,
I recognized that like I was only spending it in like these 1 or 2 locations. Like it was very obvious that like the same dude owned every restaurant or like the same hotel chain versus like you'd go just a little bit outside of town. And like you said, you're just kind of like, oh, wow, I feel like people are actually kind of struggling here. It's like a much... If you had to struggle someplace, why not? Why? But like... Yeah.
And that's why a lot of the homeless people go over there.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they don't have to deal with bone-chilling cold.
Yeah,
and
you just
like,
brush off some acid rain instead of some snow in the morning and you're good to go. That was almost a spit take.
Almost, you
got me.
That's
good.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, so the homeless people travel from...
Yeah, you save up just enough to get over there.
Get over there, and then once you get over there, it's like, what do I have to deal with? Okay, I have to deal with 70-degree, like it's raining and it's 70 degrees, and I can just go panhandle on the corner and get whatever. Like, once you make it over there, like, you don't have to worry about like environmental stuff, which a lot of homeless people do.
Yeah, if you're gonna be homeless, I guess that's the place you want to do it.
Yeah, should we all just be homeless?
All right, packed, blood oath, boys.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So I guess knowing that, like, I feel like that's such an important part of pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone is like you quickly learned what you didn't want.
Yeah.
I feel like most people don't realize what they want out of life because they don't spend enough time really becoming clear on what they don't want.
Yeah.
And so once you got back to Colorado, what were some of the things that you were like, wow, I'm definitely going to change this about what I was doing? Like, what are some of the new directions you decided to take?
No, it's good. That was really well said.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, that's a little compliment from me to you. No, I can't remember who said that. I think it was Matthew McConaughey.
I did, just now.
I know you did. I think it was Matthew McConaughey that was like, if you want to become like who you are, like stop doing what you don't want to be.
Yeah.
Which is like a weird, again, paradox has been used a lot, but that is a weird like thought. Like a lot of people don't think about it like that. Like become less of what you don't want to be, or like stop doing the things you don't want to do, and then you'll become the person that you want to be. Like I don't feel like a lot of people think about it that way. They think like they have to be something and strive towards it and keep doing the same shit that they do all the time.
Yeah, I mean, the brain only can recognize or learn where there is a difference, right? Like, that's why you don't know as a kid that, like, some of these incredible opportunities, like growing up in Colorado or in Evergreen, you're like, well, everything's amazing. Versus once you finally experience, like, a little bit of hardship, you're like, oh, some things aren't amazing. I'm so so grateful that I had this experience. So, like, not to beat a dead horse, but to not doing what you're doing what you are meant to be doing is a lot of just learning what you really don't want to do and avoiding that at all costs. Mm-hmm. And you just kind of find yourself in a passion versus most people just expect themselves to know what they're passionate about right off the gates. Yeah. Instead of going to Hawaii and learning like, oh, don't want this, don't want that. Don't want, and kind of, so, back to our point.
No, so a lot on that, I guess, just figuring out that was not what I wanted.
What specifically did you do differently when you got back to Colorado? I feel like you probably had a lot of real passionate opinions of like, well, that sucked, this didn't, this is what I kind of want to change my trajectory of my life to like these kind of sort of direction.
For me, it took some time. Again, I was in like a bad place, and it took, my family, and Brittany came back actually in the picture, and she's still in the picture. We talk all the time, but like it took like them to help me to get out of a pretty dark place.
Shout out to everyone who helped.
Yeah, shout out to you guys if you listen. But yeah, it took like a lot of their effort to get me out of that. And what I've started to realize, like, again, back to hindsight 2020, like reflecting, I think was like after the fact is a lot more beneficial than like right after for me, because I was just like in such a shitty place that it was just like I had really bad feelings towards my trip towards Hawaii, because like, again, stick it out in Hawaii, like I felt like a failure. Um, and I,
Do you think you stuck it out longer to prevent or to delay some of those
I did for sure.
things?
Yeah, and it was not beneficial to myself.
Yeah.
But I did. Yeah, and it was just like you're gonna be viewed as a failure, this and that, and it was just like a lot of negative self-talk, which I get in my head all the time. But like it was just, yeah, you're just like, you're going to be a failure. You're not good enough. Like, you didn't stay long enough. Like, why didn't you do this? And so for me, like, I had a lot of negative feelings, like, right when I got back from Hawaii, like, towards that trip. Like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, why'd you do that? Like, you had a house, you had a girlfriend, like,
Job, all
yeah,
this stuff.
all the stuff that I moved away from for that reason was like, why'd you do that? And it was a weird, like, I was stuck in a rut, like, just like, what are you doing? Like, why did you do that? Like, you just wasted 7 months of your life. You just, like, took a dramatic step back.
Actually, I feel like we can almost relate to that because we did something similar when we moved to Australia. I've never thought about it like this, but we moved there for 4 months or so. And coming back, I was like, all I succeeded in was like going there, being broke, getting my friend's bike stolen, working like Superman, like I was an immigrant farmer, and then I got all of our money by like a meth head. Like that's all we did while we were out there.
It was close to my trip in
Yeah, and I
Hawaii.
got home and I went straight back to work at like the same car wash, and I was like, did I actually accomplish anything by going over there?
But I think, like, it takes a very introspective person and someone that has, like, enough self-awareness. Like, once you reach that point, like, for me, it took a minute, and just because, again, I was in a bad place. But, like, if you have the self-awareness to, like, realize life is more than just, like, right away figuring it out and, like, having something right there for you. Like, if you can, like, look back and be like, this is what I learned, and this is what I did, and this is what happened. Like, for me, like, the, I guess, introspection, or looking back, if that's a word, not looking back, but introspection. Like, for me, it was, like, I learned a whole lot that, like, family and friends are super important to me. And, like, over there, I was isolated
Yeah.
quite a bit. Like, I had a few close friends, but I didn't hang out with them all the time. But, like, for me, family and friends were, like, and that's what's got me into, like, feeling a lot better and, like, in the place that I'm at right now, is, like, having that close network of people. Because, like, I haven't changed my habits too much. Like, I still fucking drink quite a bit and, like, do some of the stupid shit that I do. But, like, having that close-knit group of friends and, like, my family around makes a huge difference. And so, like, I realized that, like, family and friends are super important to me. And I mean, like, I feel like that's not different for a lot of people, despite what their childhood, whatever it is.
It's easy to take that for granted until you lose it. I definitely
Yeah.
came back from Australia feeling the same way. I was like,
Yeah.
I had no idea. I genuinely loved my dad. Like,
Yeah.
he was so important to me. And then all of a sudden, I wasn't living at his house and talking to him all the time. And I was like, oh, wow, I actually miss him. Like, I genuinely thought, because we didn't, like,
Yeah.
have any of the same interests or any of this, that I wouldn't even miss him. And then all of a sudden, I was like, oh, wow, I actually
Yeah.
genuinely miss this guy, where I thought because we had such a, like, business relationship that I was like, oh, we're just going to, like, shake hands when I leave and shake hands when I get back. And then we'll just be back to where we were. And instead, I was like, wow, I have such, like you said, a new appreciation for that friends and family.
Yeah. Yeah, and I definitely, I can't, like, I'm trying to put it into words, but, like, I think that, like, appreciation for all of that stuff, like, again, happens when you move away or, like, you don't know what you have until it's gone.
Yeah.
Like, some of those weird quirks and things that, like, you don't necessarily know, like, it's like those, yeah, those are comforting, and it's nice to have, like, that support group around you. And I think everybody, like, despite what you say, like, they need, like, people need affection. People need to feel
Yeah.
wanted. People need to feel, like, supported. And
Absolutely. I mean, I encourage, as weird as it sounds, like I encourage a lot of the like kids that I know, like anywhere from like 16 to like 19. I encourage them, like, go get lost. Like, the best thing I ever did
Yeah.
was go get lost and be broke and have to genuinely kind of struggle through Australia. Again, like, no one pictures like, oh, I had to stick it out through Australia.
yeah.
Like, it's the greatest place. But we really genuinely were lost and had no idea what to do. And you're not going to die. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And if you just stick it out just that extra little bit, all of a sudden, wow, I learned something, or I found this new confidence because I didn't have to give up. I found a way out. And yeah, I think I encourage a lot of people to just go lose themselves at least once in their lifetime where, yeah, I had no idea what I was doing. I was in way over my head, and I had to go find a job, or I had to go find help, or whatever it was. You really don't know who you are, I feel like, until you've had those experiences.
Because it'll always work out.
Yeah, like,
No, it will,
you'll
yeah.
either
It'll
die
always
and all of your problems are fine.
Yeah.
Like, you're certainly not
that-
going to be worried
just
about
that.
it, right? Or you'll figure it out one way or another.
Yeah.
Like, there isn't really anything to be worried about.
No, there's really not. And that's, I mean, where a lot of anxiety comes from is that people think that fucking
It's just the right dress for today.
Yeah,
It's like, no.
superficial things are, like, super important. But, like as Steve Jobs said, like, I mean, like, look at, like, if you're each day as if
Yeah.
it was your last, like, that quote, like,
Yeah, I think it's something along the lines of, like, if you wake up every morning hating what you do, you need to stop doing it and find something that you do enjoy.
yeah, and I completely agree with that statement, because it's like there's a ton of superficial shit that, like, people get wrapped up in and think are important, but, like, at the end of the day, there's a lot more important things than, like, what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I guess now that you are back, sounds like you're in a much better place. I mean, even just from the short time that I've known you, I feel like you've gotten to a much better place.
Yeah, you've seen it for sure.
What are some of the things that you're doing now that's really bringing a lot of, like, joy into your life? It sounds like friends and family are huge.
Yeah, friends and family are huge. I mean, I would say I love, like, I enjoy learning a lot about, like, construction and, like, trying to, like, figure out the different aspects of it. Like, at a certain point, like, I would like to just, like, do some side projects and eventually make that, like, the full time. Like, doing more productive things with, like, my time and effort would be ideal. Don't ask a follow-up question about what my time is spent doing. But, like, I really enjoy that. I enjoy, again, being back around, like, family and friends. And I mean, like, that's really it. Like, I just realized, like, that's super important to me. Like, right now, I would probably say that I'm going through, like, a little work-life crisis where I'm, like, trying to figure out, like, what it is I want to do.
Yeah, a little quarter-life crisis.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, like, I would call me moving to Hawaii more or less the quarter-life crisis, and, like, now it's, like, what's my purpose? What am I trying, like, what do I really want to do? And I'm super passionate about, like, I love kids, and I love, Like I used to volunteer at Children's, and I really like that gave me a really big like satisfaction. I love management, and I love like helping people.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like for myself, like reading people and like being empathetic and like trying to help someone else like solve their own problems is like a currency that is unmatched to like any actual currency.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most valuable skills is to be able to genuinely meet someone where they're at, understand and appreciate their world, and if they're in a place where they want it or they need it or they're even willing, most importantly willing, like you can help them solve their own problem. Like you said, it's not about helping in the sense of doing it for people, but
Yeah.
just offering a new solution or offering like your buddy's dad or your dad's buddy
Yeah.
did, where he's like, hey, just go. Like it'll probably be terrible, but you should go because you'll grow from it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's, like you said, you encourage people to get lost. I couldn't agree more. Like, go figure out what you're passionate about. And it's not going to like a lot of times when I came back from Hawaii, I thought I'd have more answers and I had less answers. I just felt more lost. I was like, what did you just do for 7 months? And like similar to when you were talking about Australia, it was just like I'm now working a job that's, XYZ amount an hour, and I don't know if this is what I want to do, and I'm super depressed, and I gave up this and that and my house and, my girlfriend, and I felt more lost, but I feel like over time it was like, all right, this is what I learned. And like a big lesson would be to all you listeners out there.
All
Listen
you
up.
tens of listeners.
All you tens of listeners, soon thousands, soon's millions, soon's
Yeah.
millions.
Those are words.
Like, be nice to yourself. Like, life's
Yeah.
tough. Life's gonna throw you curveballs all the time. Like,
Amen
don't
to
feel
that.
like you have to fucking have it figured out. Like, no one has it figured out. As much as you think the next person has it figured out, like, no one really does. Everyone's trying to figure it out, even if they're 60, 70, retired and doing whatever. Like, no one truly ever, like, I don't think finds that thing. And that's what life is just a journey of, like, trying to figure out, like, what's going to keep you on an even keel, what's going to
Yeah.
keep you happy, what's your own personal paradise. What paradise are you going to stick it out in?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I think.
All right. Oh, sorry.
No, go for it, Dylan.
I was gonna say, do you have any stories from these trips that might be some fun? We've been very serious this whole time.
Yeah,
and it's
well, lighten
awesome.
it
Yeah.
up.
Do you have any fun stories? There's some in particular that I remember hearing, but
Yeah, I mean,
if you don't want to tell those, I understand.
no, you're good. I mean, from Hawaii, there's a couple. The first one falls on Britney's birthday. It was Friday, late evening, so her birthday was Saturday, February 10th. And
Shout out to Britney's birthday.
yeah, shout out Britney's birthday. What's up? What's up? And you're not gonna like this part, Brittany. There was this
Earmuffs.
earmuffs if you can. There was this girl on Tinder that I had like whatever matched with and was messaging, and she had told me to come over to the other side of the island, and I took her up on that offer and had bought an Airbnb thinking that lucky me was going to get lucky, and went over there, drove over there, got to this Airbnb, and it was literally like this vacant locks, that's Jewish. This vacant lot that was just filled with like tents.
Yeah.
And I pulled up, and it was probably like 7 or 8, so it was dark out, and there was just like people scattered about, like running around the place. And I was just like, I had bad vibes. I was already like anxious just because like I had taken this girl up. Like I didn't know what was going to happen. And so I immediately like start pounding the 750 of
Great call.
Tito. Yeah.
Great
Tito's
call.
to deal with the anxiety. And I start pounding like I've essentially like finished half of this thing because I'm just like, what the fuck's going on? The host comes out and his name is like Truck Stop Bob or something on Airbnb. And he comes out and
Oh no.
it's just like, oh, what's going on, partner? How you doing? Like, aloha, mahalo. Isn't this a cherry fucking spot? And I was just like, yeah, it's super cherry, man. Like real cherry. Like I didn't know you're going to have just like hood rats just like running around. And this was like a vacant meth den. And he's like, what do you think about a grand tour of the place? And I was like, oh, is that like included in my Airbnb? So nice of me. Like, great. That's nice offer. So I take him up on this offer to tour the place. We start going around and he takes me up to like his house, which is like a super nice house. It actually is like very nice, but it overlooks the meth den. And
Well,
he's
yeah,
got
it's that
like,
sweet meth den view that
yeah, just
was
a little
advertised.
Pablo Escobar and of meth. And we go up to his house. He's got like this weird family that I don't even know how to describe, but they're like staying in one of the rooms of his house. Back to the point of like super nice house, like 300 coffee plants, has his own farm, like super great views of Kona, like awesome place. And he's touring me around this place, and then all of a sudden like comes up to like where he grows his weed. And he's like, yeah, so this is where like all the magic happens. Like most people do that for the bedroom, but for him it was his kush or whatever you call it. I was like, all right, this is where the magic happens. And there's like a roach laying around, a joint just like left out on the side for those of you who don't know what a roach is. And he's like, do you want to, like, he lights it up and he's like, do you want to take a hit of this? And I'm, again, like anxious, like halfway drunk, like, sure, I'll take a hit of this. Take a hit of this, like half, whatever it is. Like it was not just weed. It was something else. And it was just like out of this world. And
Oh no.
30 minutes later, I learned why they call him like Truck Bed Bob. He goes, like, I can't even, like, speak. And he goes, you want to just, like, tour Kona with me? And I was like, I thought we were just fucking touring your house, like, tour Kona. Like, what are you talking about? And he pulls up this cement dump truck that he has, like, parked in the vacant lot and pulls me, or not pulls me, that would be.
Yeah.
But we go into this truck bed. And he is driving like 60 down these like shanty back roads in Kona. And I am like trashed on what I think is meth. And I'd finished the 750. And he was just like, dude, what do you think about us going to get some pussy, his terms. And at the time, on meth, maybe, and drunk, I was like, what a great idea. What a great idea. So we go to this like local bar. I can't remember I think it's called Uncle Billy's, because everyone's an uncle out there.
Yeah.
You got uncle aunties, which is like all the elder folks. Everyone's always uncle aunties. So we went to Uncle Billy's, and I don't really remember a whole lot after that, but like I just remember like him being there and me like talking to this waitress and like thinking I had a chance. And I'll get to that part later, but I thought I had a chance, and this guy was just like, dude, you got it. And he drives this fucking little cement dump truck back to his place, and I passed out at the table. And
aren't you so glad you got stuck at Uncle Billy's instead of making it back to that insane place?
Instead of Aunt Sally's. But the story gets better because, like, I wake up and I'm like, my car's there, and I'm like, I don't know how to get back to this place. Like I don't know
Oh.
the address, and there's little service there. And so I look back at my Uber, find the address, somehow hitchhike a ride back, but service runs out, and I don't know like how to tell this. I don't know why service is important, but I don't know how to tell whoever was driving me how to get back to this place, because it was just like shanty back roads. Like I remember like when I drove over there, like I didn't know, like I had to call him and he had to meet me at a Shell gas station to
Jeez.
drive me down. So I had no service, and this car like drops me off, either drops me off or throws me out on the side of the road by the Shell gas station, because that's the only like pinpoint that I had that was like close to this place. And I get out of the car, I go to the fucking Shell and buy a can of chew. I proceed to throw a dip in and pass out outside of the gas station. And this whole time,
Can't imagine why the Hawaiians aren't a fan of
yeah, this is weird,
the
right?
Howleys coming by.
Yeah, this is so weird. And I just remember the whole night this guy was just, his terminology was bitching for everything. Like, isn't this fucking property bitching? Like, isn't this bitching,
Oh,
dude?
no.
And I'll bring it back here in a second. But like, I wake up, I have like chew like everywhere because I had passed out with a dip in on the side of the gas station. Never made it back to the place. I called truck bed Bob at like 5 a.m. and he answers, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck happened? Like, get me back to my car. Like, can you come pick me up? Like, I'm at the Shell at the top of the fucking like house. Like, please pick me up. And he was like, dude, what the fuck did you do last night? I was like, I don't know what I did. He's like, it sounds like it was bitching. And I was like, it was not.
It was the opposite.
Bitching, truck bed Bob. Like, this was fucking terrible. And he comes, picks me up at like 5 a.m. I get back to the Airbnb. My phone is dead. I charged it. I passed out for like 2 hours. Woke up to like 30 voicemails because it was Britney's birthday. My parents had figured out that somehow I was lost because like I was supposed to be back at a certain time, and my buddy had called, or his uncle had called him, or like his aunt, and my parents were like, where the fuck is Greer? And so I had like 30 of his voicemails like, Greer, where are you? To like, what the fuck?
And that's how you find out what you don't want.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you figure out you want to move back to Colorado. And that was pretty much like that in a nutshell. Like, Brittany was just absolutely disgusted by me.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah, shout out to you. But yeah, it was just like, like I felt like a total dickbag the next day. But yeah, that was an elongated, somewhat.
Yeah, it's a heck of a story for sure.
Yeah, it was quite the time.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah.
We're glad to have you back. Seriously,
Yeah,
like
it's good to be back.
it's pretty wild. Like, something like that night could go 100 different ways, right? Like, that genuinely could have gone.
Well, I've had a few.
Pretty
like,
wild.
I've had a few of those. Which
Yeah, we're glad that you're back home, and it sounds like you're really genuinely doing better. In all sincerity.
Yeah, like there's definitely been a few of those moments. I don't know how much more time we have, but I could definitely share.
We got time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's take it back to Vegas then.
No.
Yeah, I mean, like,
earmuffs again.
There's been no. This is actually one of the first stories I told to Britt, which is like surprising that she slept with me afterwards.
I feel like surprising that she loved you is the right words to have said.
Yeah, I phrased that wrong, but yeah.
Hopefully she was still on earmuffs from the previous.
Yeah.
Britt,
Still
now you
earmuff.
can take your earmuffs
Here,
off.
you can't see the camera, but motion this. But yeah, so like we went out to Vegas for my brother's bachelor party, and it was a joint bachelor party, bachelorette, and my sister-in-law had befriended my ex-girlfriend kind of at the time. We were kind of like on the verge of like breaking up. We were on like a break, if you will. Like, should we actually be together? But my sister-in-law had befriended her and asked me, like, can she come on the bachelorette party? And I was like, yeah, I don't really care if she comes or not. Like, if you're friends with her, not a
Yeah.
problem to me. So I think it was like the second night we were there. She was texting me like, what are you doing tonight? This and that. And kind of like standoffish, like not really like responding to her because we were going to the Spearmint Rhino, which is a great establishment for any people going to Vegas. So we go to the Spearmint Rhino, and this girl that like my is giving my brother lap dances. Like, I don't know how this happened, but we started like talking about all sorts of different things, earmuffs.
Oh no.
And that escalated like fairly quickly to the point where like it was like, what time do you get off? Like, what are you doing after? Like, let's meet up, let's do this, let's do that. And I ended up buying a room at the Treasure Island when she got off. And we were on a little bit of cocaine.
No.
And it was just like the filthiest thing I've like ever done. Am I allowed to like speak freely? Is this?
I mean, I feel like we're in it.
We're in it,
But
yeah.
also we'll have to put like for sure like a
okay?
18-year-old or less. Don't
What
listen to this.
children do we know that are listening to this, except for
That's
maybe my
fair.
little cousins?
Yeah, it just
They'll
gets
grow up
fairly
and stuff.
like. I mean, not like terrible. I'm sure people
Yeah.
have told worse stories, but
Yeah.
but yeah. So like, essentially, like I end up having sex with this girl, this stripper. Nice terminology. I don't want to call her a girl because stripper's better.
Yeah, I like that you adjust. Oh, that's
Yeah,
demeaning. I'll call her a stripper.
stripper.
God.
Well, I end up having sex with her without a condom. Both.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we? Yeah. We'll leave it at that. And I woke up the next morning, and I Ubered her out to her place
Like a gentleman.
like a real gentleman and a scholar. She has a daughter. She had C-section scars from the other kid, and I
Jeez.
Ubered her out to her boyfriend at the time.
No.
They're probably still together. Shout out to you. So I get back. I delve into all the details with the boys about like where I was, like why I didn't show up the night before or why I didn't stay at the place. And I go to text my ex, like, what's up? What are you doing? And she just like cold shoulders me the rest of the trip. And I'm like, what is going on? And I come to find out that the joint bachelorette party has backfired because one of the bachelors had told his wife of what I did after I delved into the details.
Oh, yeah.
And his wife had told my ex-girlfriend about all the stuff that I had delved into earlier.
Yeah.
And that was the reason she wasn't talking to me.
I mean,
Because
fair reason.
I don't think so.
The confidence. No.
Yeah.
Totally unjustified.
Deadpan.
Um,
But yeah, there's been multiple like meth Hawaii stories and like stuff where I've been like super fortunate not to like have had the alternate ending.
yeah, not that the consequences were like, you could have gone anywhere. And
Yeah, just
kind
the
of got out
ramifications
fairly
that are
unscared.
just like holy shit.
I mean, I feel the same way about a lot of the stuff we did in Australia where like we were just sleeping at skate parks.
Yeah.
And then, like, the one night because we were from the U.S., we had this weird sense that, like, no part of Australia could have been dangerous because they didn't have guns. Like, we had this weird sense that, like, dude, there's palm trees, everyone's in swim trunks.
It's a nice false safety. net.
Crime can't be possible for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And,
It sounds
Yeah.
like a crime never happened to me, so.
but you did have to fight off rats with a beer bottle, so different story.
I mean that's nuts.
But
I mean,
yeah,
everybody knows that every animal in Australia is insane and
Yeah.
will kill you, so.
but yeah, like I definitely remember when we finally stayed at the wrong skate park on the wrong night. This guy ends up robbing us while we're camped out. Somehow none of us wake up. And the dude took like a 10-inch knife off of one of the guys, and we're like, oh, that could have been
Yeah.
massively different.
Yeah.
And then one of the guys we were with didn't have his passport because the guy took that. And on our way walking to the police station, we found his passport in like a gutter. And we're like, what are the odds? Like, that's the only way he gets home is like this crazy. So, I mean, I definitely feel you in the. I can't believe how lucky I just got.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of those instances.
I'm all for hearing more if you got some other good ones.
I mean, there's definitely. I'd have to think.
The phone story. The phone story is the one I was thinking.
Oh yeah, so the phone story was my buddy flew into. This is why I was over in Hawaii for all you listeners out there. My buddy flew into Maui or not Maui, but Kona, and this was like essentially the first I'd seen of like my friend since I'd been over there, and I was kind of cooped up. I'd been living with my buddy's uncle for 2 or 3 weeks. I hadn't really met anybody, and he got over there, and like what was planned was like biking and like hiking and like this and that. But when you're with me, that doesn't really happen a lot. For those viewers out there, I have a strip club veteran hat. But like we got wrapped up like the first day, just like drinking all day and drinking most of the night. And again, back to the culture, like Kona, it's more aggressive than Hilo. As far as like culturally, it's tourists, yeah. So you get like that animosity, like a little bit more so than you would in places where the tourism is not as much. And we were like warned of places not to go. Like I'm pretty sure it was called Sharky's. It was like a local hub for people late at night that were just like aggressive local drinkers that like do not like Hallies. And so we had been out drinking all day. We went to a few different like places to get drinks, and then for whatever reason, like whenever I'm like single, like my go-to like pickup line is, "Will you hold this for a second? Will you hold it?" And then I try to hold their hands. Me and Gavin just touched hands for those viewers out there. But that's like my go-to pickup line. So I was doing that left and right. And we went to dinner with these French girls that had actually worked on, and then proceeded out into the night. And I just like continued to try that move. And I tried it to a local girl that literally just like right when I did it, just like slapped my hand out of her face, which makes complete sense. She's
What do you mean? It's such a classy move.
It is a very classy move. She's like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, get your fucking hand out of my face. Like, what the hell?" And I was like, "I'm sorry," like this and that. And she called like Israel Kamakamawaki and like all of her like all black rugby friends over like immediately. And they came up to me and like started like pushing me and shoving me and were like, "What the fuck are you doing to my sister?" And like this and that. And I was like, "Me and your sister are gonna get married." Not actually, but I probably said something sarcastic like that. But anyway, like they were pushing me around, and I was like, "Look, I'm very sorry, guys. Like I'm a drunk idiot, and you guys probably hate me, but like I mean no harm. Like I'm just an idiot." And they're like, "Well, why don't we take this outside?" And I was like, "I don't really want to go outside." From Colorado, it's cold out here in Hawaii. But they ended up taking me, like, we went outside, and the conversation was back and forth. And they're like, "Why don't you get your phone out for this?" And I was like, "Well, that's a strange request at a time like this. Like, why would I have my phone out? Like, what am I going to get?" I reach in my pocket. I don't have my phone. And I was like, "That is weird." And then the guy that was, like, pushing and shoving me was like, "You looking for this?" I was like, "That is strange that you have my phone. Where did you get that guy from?" And it like all proceeded to like, they just started to like essentially nickel and dime you to get my phone back. And I was like, they're like, "Give us $100. And I was like, "I don't have that because I don't have any cash on me. And they're like, that's bullshit. We saw you pay at the bar, which that is true because I only got paid in cash under the table in Hawaii. So I had just like a big wad of cash, and I was like, fuck, they're on to me. And
or what if they weren't and they were just like extremely confident?
Yeah, that would be the ultimate mindfuck if they were. And so I like kept lying. And then finally I was like, all right, fine, I'll give you $100. And they're like, it's not enough. And I gave them $150. And I can't remember the exchange, but I said something about the guy's sister or something to the likes of something that was sarcastic. And the guy just like took my phone, and I've never seen an iPhone 7 skip that much across the ocean, but it certainly got at least halfway there to Maui. And he skipped my phone, and I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, thanks for doing business. And I was like, I think that was more my pleasure than your pleasure, because that was super enjoyable for me. And that was about that. And then I had to get a phone the next day, and that was a whole ordeal. And
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Always getting a phone is great, especially when your parents still pay for your phone.
Shout out to Papa Deeks.
Yeah, Papa Deeks. Much love.
Making you proud.
Exactly.
Yeah. On the bright side, I feel like you've genuinely gotten out of that place.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I have and I haven't. Like, it's still, I think, like, self-deprecating humor is, like, an easy way to, like, I guess it's almost, like, cathartic for me to, like, deal with some of the stupid shit that I do. And, like,
Yeah,
it's
you get
easier
it
to
off your
have,
chest.
like, a lighter view on it. Because, again, like, back to what I said on a serious note, like, be kind to yourself. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, people fuck up. Like, you're going to make stupid mistakes. And if you beat yourself up till you're, like, blue in the face, like, there's no reason to do that. Like, yeah, we all fuck up.
Yeah,
I mean, like, there's bigger fuck ups than other ones, but, like, for me, that is, like, how I deal with it instead of some other ways. It's just, like, making fun of the fact that I'm an idiot, which happens.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's a crazy time out in Hawaii. Sounds like
Yeah.
some real nonsense.
There was definitely some crazy times for sure.
So, what's next?
I don't know. You guys tell me. What are we thinking?
No, I mean, in your life.
Oh, in my life. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. In my life, I mean, I like to get. I mean, I've told Gavin this. I would love to get into stand-up. That would be awesome. I have a bit of stage fright and this and that, like anybody else. But I mean, that would be like number one, like passion would be to like do stand-up. But will I do that? I don't know.
Dude, I'll do an open mic with you. I've done a couple. It's a good time.
Put me on the spot,
Yeah, dude.
live air.
Yeah.
Dude,
Now,
it's-
I mean,
it's worth it.
It's the Joy Quota podcast thing. Like, challenges happen at these microphones. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I've eaten like half my caloric intake for the last 2 weeks because of a stupid bet I made on this.
I don't know which is worse.
Definitely
Stand-up.
calories.
You think so?
Because
Embrace
the
the
stage fright rush, I actually kind of enjoy. Like every time I've gone up and
Yeah,
done
but
stand
you're a
up,
fucking crazy individual.
I get like my whole body like shakes. I don't think anyone can see from like more than a couple feet away,
Yeah.
but I definitely get off and I'm like genuinely shaking. Like, oh my god, that
Yeah.
was the craziest amount of adrenaline.
Yeah.
I can see why
Well, I mean, like,
it's an irreplaceable high for the people who get into it.
yeah. And I don't mean to make everything serious, but like from a stand-up perspective, like that is like the most. I feel like you're just like the most authentic and like bare bones. Just like you're just yourself. Like you're hoping people laugh. And
Yeah.
like you're hoping for a response, and like that type of vulnerability is, I envy that.
It's unmatched. Of all
Yeah.
of the many things I've done where I've really felt like I put myself out there, that is
Yeah.
definitely the most where I'm just
That's
like,
impressive.
these are my stories about me. Like,
Yeah.
I think these are hilarious, but if I go up and no one laughs, like I'm basically just doing a monologue to how much
Yeah.
people hate me for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So it was really helpful when you had like half the bar was all your friends.
Yeah, for the first go, I literally just loaded
Yeah.
the bar. The second or third time, I just like popped in, but like the first one specifically, I was like, I need to get as many people who are gonna tell me I did a good job, even if I just got up there and stank for a full 5 minutes.
I almost think that's more vulnerable and awkward when you're in front of your friends.
Yeah,
I don't know why, just because it's like, it is like you have to see them the next day.
Yeah,
And
for
it's
sure.
Like, and then they're like, that cringeworthy, like,
Yeah, remember that
hey,
thing
good
you
to
probably
see you,
shouldn't have done?
Yeah, it's like,
Our
No,
friends are all
everyone
supportive.
really was super supportive, and like, in all fairness, and in the theme of being kind to myself, like I really feel like I crushed it. Like
yeah.
like even the people who weren't there with me were laughing, and I was like, man, I actually did something of somewhat significant nature just because I was like, oh yeah, let's go tell some jokes, let's make some people laugh. Right now, I'll agree to doing a stand-up. Like,
Challenge, huh?
yeah, I'll totally do it. We'll both just go find like an
If
open
you
mic and do it.
Buy me a bottle of tequila beforehand, I'll do it.
Dude, yeah, we'll pregame at the house.
All right.
Demands
All right,
met.
fine.
Yes.
Fine.
Yeah, we'll figure out a
Gentlemen's-
date.
Joy Quota
Yes.
challenge.
There it is.
Yes, yeah.
There it is. You guys got the
Right.
challenge out. But yeah, no, I like that. For whatever reason, I've always like admired humor, and I think me and Gavin talk about it almost every day at work. But like, it is like an art, and it is cool just to like. It is all delivery, and it is how you tell a story. And like some of the stories I told tonight probably were elongated and dragged on, but like that's the art of it, is like perfecting the way that you tell it and the delivery. And like I like that a lot, and like I love, like there's something about like making people laugh. Like I've always loved, like that's how I've related to people, is like making them laugh over my like stupid shit, and like making light of situations, because it fucking at the end of the day, like life is too hard to begin with. Like just lighten up, have a good time. So that would be like one like actual like serious thing that I would like to do, if I guess I'm gonna get the chance here real soon.
Yeah, dude. I'm stoked.
But other things would be, I'd like to get back into volunteering at Children's Hospital, and just like giving a little bit of myself back to the community. And like I said, I enjoy working with children, this and that, and pursuing something with construction a little bit more, and like venturing out with my buddies, doing like stuff with them instead of like under workshop.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Well, that's awesome. I feel like we're right at like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So we like to kind of end by just asking, like, when you think of the word joy, what's like the first memory, or maybe the first experience, or just like what comes to mind when you're like, oh, that was the most joy, or that's just when I think of like what joy means to me, this is what comes up.
Greek food.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No way. That's awesome.
Yeah, just because my dad used to bake like all the stuff that his mom used to make, and it's fantastic. They would always have people over, and very good food. Very
No
good
way.
food. So there's the joy.
Dude, well, I'll have
still
to
makes
come
it.
over for dinner one of these days.
Yeah, right before our stand-up show.
Yeah, we'll do that. Nothing mixes better like Greek food and tequila.
Yeah. No, it mixes very well.
Yeah.
That and a little bit of comedy.
Dude, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Well, awesome.
I'm excited to hear this.
Yeah, Greer's going to absolutely crush me in the stand-up.
We'll see. We'll see about
Are
that.
you gonna write a new set, or are you going with the classic "girl thought I was retarded" thing?
Ooh, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
You told me that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably add that just because it's a guaranteed first laugh,
Yeah.
and then I'll probably mix in. I'll workshop some new material.
There it is. I like it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just coil up the microphone like Mitch Hedberg, and then like once the punchline hits, you just release it, and that's when everyone knows they need to laugh.
Yeah, exactly. You got to
Yeah.
give them some cues.
That's
Exactly.
How great would that be? Just walk up with like your own Like,
Set.
like the signs that say like applause, like a
Yeah.
talk show or something. The whole audience is like cued when they should applause and stuff. Like, it'd be
Just
so
like
fun. Go
fill
on,
in that
like,
laughter right
yeah.
now. Fill in that laughter.
We just need a couple good laugh tracks so that I can fill that in later on the audio.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's gonna be awesome. Well,
like
sweet.
it.
I'm pumped. We're 2 for 4 on Joy Quota podcast challenges. So
Well,
There you go.
I'm 2 for 4. You're
Yeah,
0 for
no,
4.
I don't
That's
have-
fine. That's
'cause I don't have
teamwork.
any
It's 50.
talents. I don't have it. I can't.
I mean, there's a little bit of pressure from both because it's like, am I asking the questions? Are you asking the questions? But you guys, you got me. I'm there. I'm there.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's all about getting outside of your comfort zone, right? Like,
Yeah.
I know for a fact I'm not going to pursue comedy, so like it just didn't ever it never took off. But I was like, I did enjoy it. It was incredibly uncomfortable, so it's way easier for me to just not do it. So I'm glad to have an excuse to go push myself to be that uncomfortable again.
Yeah. It's definitely, I could only imagine. I mean, I've done toasts and those are uncomfortable.
Oh, I love a good toast because it's usually people I know.
Yeah.
If I'm in a room of only people I know, I feel probably overly confident. But
Really?
as soon as I'm in a place where, like, these people aren't going to be kind to me, like, either this is going to land or it's not, that's when I actually feel the pressure of, like, oh, I have to deliver the goods. And I feel like I can. So if I don't, it's because I blew it. It's because I didn't do something right.
That individual aspect.
Yeah.
Back to the tennis days.
Boom. Wrapped up in a ribbon, just like
Boom.
that.
Boom. There you guys
You like
go.
that callback, people?
Yeah.
Professionals.
Very professional over here. Very good memory. Tequila helps my memory.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you feel good, Dylan? You feel good where we're at? Greer?
Yeah, no, I appreciate
unless
just.
he's got any more ridiculous stories.
Yeah, if you've got
If you
another-
have a
I mean,
crazy story.
if
One
we
to
do
end on.
another
A
one, I
bonus
could
story.
probably think of some bonus stories. I can't really think of any that I could like tell to that like description off the top of my head. Those are like the top ones that stand out. But yeah, no,
All right, round 2, he'll have more stories.
round 2.
Yeah.
We'll come
round
to
2.
a stand-up.
Cliffhanger.
We'll,
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But no,
we'll
I
inform the viewers of this stand-up challenge.
exactly. No, I'm appreciative. Thank you guys for having me on the old podcast. I appreciate
Thank you for
it.
being here.
Yeah.
Supporting our brand new effort. I
Yeah,
appreciate
Yeah.
it.
It's a good time.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, it is.
Well, awesome, boys. Till
Cool.
next time.
Cool.